let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. Adam, we're going to you. Obviously, you are a man who is kept under the microscope of the Green Packers. Sorry, been looking at Packers under the microscope is what I meant in my phrasing, due to you being a fan of them. This is what happens when you multitask and podcast at the same time. Things happen, mum calls, you never know what's going on. The fun of live podcasting, I suppose. The Green Bay Packers, how are you feeling?
How long do you want me to go on for? I could fill up this one.
Probably between 5 to 7 minutes, and maybe that.
Okay, cool.
Maybe we should let Sky
I'll stick to that then.
Yeah, don't give it 7 minutes. Bloody hell.
Yeah, you don't need to talk. It's fine. Look, I think they've got a really good offense, and last year the defense was what let them down last year. I think that's going to change this year. They've changed coordinator. Jeff Hafley's come in, and he looks like he's going to bring a more explosive, exciting defense compared to what we had before under Joe Barry. This is kind of what and part of that reason is bringing in Xavier McKinney. And they're the sort of guys that you want to bring in. I think we're a very good team that's a playoff contender, and someone like Xavier McKinney, who was one of the captains on the Giants, they're the sort of guys that you need to bring in. And so I think that's probably what's going to make the difference for them. It's going to push them on by doing that and bringing that sort of guy in. The offense, really, like we've said all the time, the wide receivers, they're all incredibly young, really good. It doesn't necessarily matter which ones are out there because they can all do it. And that's something that I think is going to become very, very difficult for teams to deal with, because you just don't know which one you're going to be up against, or you've got to try and plan for all of them. And it's just incredibly tough to do that. I think Josh Jacobs coming in is a really big positive for the run game. Another captain from another team, this is, again, it's the sort of guy that you want to bring in. And just, he's one of these guys who, it feels like the running game was always kind of a bit secondary to the passing game when Aaron Rodgers was there. I think you're going to see that the run game, now that you've got Matt LaFleur actually bringing out what I think is probably more his offense rather than Aaron Rodgers' offense, I think you're going to see a bit more of the run game, and that's going to be really useful. When it comes to the draft, I think they just drafted really, really well again. And it's something that I think Gutekunst doesn't get that many sort of like props for. He does incredibly well when it comes to the draft. Jordan Morgan, a lot of people didn't like Jordan Morgan when they drafted him. They were a bit like, we wanted Graham Barton, who went the pick afterwards, and he was there. Jordan Morgan kind of reminds me of Brian Bulaga. I think it's that kind of guy who's going to be able to go across the line, and he's going to be great. Lots of linebackers have come in. Edgerrin Cooper looks really good. Teron Hopper looks good. Really like Javon Bullard, the safety out of Georgia. I think he's going to be another explosive guy, which will go really well with McKinney. And all in all, just improved a lot through free agency and through the draft. I've got their ceiling at 12. It might be pushing it a little bit. But I think the floor is 9, which is what they did last year. I think, personally, as much as I'd love to say I think they're going to win the division, I think it's going to be they're not quite there yet, because I think the Lions are just that little bit further along. But they're in a really good position where they're definitely going to, I would be shocked if they don't make the playoffs, and they have the potential in any one-off game to go out and win.
Well, Sky doing his best Mystic Meg impression by, rather than rubbing a crystal ball, he's rubbing a crystal cat, little Marcus there instead. He did nearly take your the full 7 minutes, so you've got like 2 minutes here to see the future of the Green Bay Packers. And what do you see in that future?
Big improvements, like Adam said. Xavier McKinney coming in for Savage. We spoke about Savage last week. That's a massive upgrade. Josh Jacobs, I respect the fact that the Packers, a team, such a small market team, like Adam said, that has to draft well, have gone out and made a big decision to get rid of a guy like Aaron Jones and go, right, we know we've got a good young quarterback. We've got good young receivers. We've got Reed, they've got Wicks, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs. I think the offense is in position to be high flying. The only thing I would say about Jordan Love, I mean, I feel like I was one of the first people on his hype train. Remember last year when I was saying I think he could probably end up with more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. That was one of my bold picks before. It was great to see what he did to the Cowboys. I know we joke about them being my second team or whatever, but I was so impressed with what he done in the playoffs. He just needs to be more consistent, and I hope that for him. But yeah, I would put. I put them 2 wins behind the Lions, but them making the playoffs. That's where I would see the Packers at.